Welcome to Inside the Program Live, presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors. I'm Joe Cook. That's Eric Naleen. Thank you for watching. Make sure you like the video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Get some questions in. We'll go over some of them at the end of the video. And of course, got to make sure everybody goes over to InsideTexas.com. Join using that first link in our description for just $1. We've got great off-season intel that we'll go over today, including some defensive coordinator notes about Will Muschamp, strength and conditioning. We've also got a lot of recruiting updates. Already have 2 recruiting updates on the board this morning as we go over visitors making their way to the 40 acres. So make sure you go to Inside Texas. First link in our description. Use that QR code there at the top left of the screen. We got everything football covered. It's opening day for baseball. We got that covered as well. Basketball has a big conference game tomorrow at Missouri. We'll have that covered. It's just a busy time in UT sports. Kind of a slow time for like on-field football stuff, but that's a big thing for Will Muschamp. Eric, you wrote some notes this morning about what Texas' very highly paid defensive coordinator is doing in the building right now. And when Steve Sarkisian called him the head coach of the defense back at that press conference in December, that's really been the role that Will Muschamp has taken over in his time on the 40 acres.
Yeah, first of all, when he hired Will Muschamp, he knew Will was about to get paid, right? You don't leave a nice existence, comfortable existence at Georgia unless you have a really good deal on the table. And then, once Sark called him the head coach on the of the defense, that's even more leverage. So I think the arrangement is perfect. Sark is really trying to double down and fix culture. We'll talk about that in a minute. And I think that, Muschamp is an immediate culture influence on the team, positive influence on the entire team, not just the defense. There's just every sign we get of Muschamp is he's taking complete ownership of that side of the ball. And a lot of what he's doing is wearing off on the entire team. But yeah, Sark doesn't have to worry about the defense. Muschamp is ever present at the facilities. He's constantly he's constantly building relationships with the players. He's done that since the second his name was hired. I mean, even before he was publicly mentioned, he was building relationships with players. Defensive install, they work on that nonstop. And he's just overall, it's just his side of the ball. I don't want to say it because I haven't heard it necessarily put like this, but it does feel like they do have 2 head coaches on the staff. It's Sark's team. There's no doubt about that. But I can see why he wanted, more of a bigger presence, a bigger personality, more vocal leadership on that side of the ball. It definitely seems like there's been a complete 180 in that regard.
And there's a culture part, which we'll touch on in a second, but there is the install part, and that's not only with Will Muschamp, that's with guys like Blake Gideon, who played for Muschamp, who coached under Muschamp plenty. They've made some analyst additions who bring in a lot of experience with Muschamp. So that presence in the building is not only huge just for the culture part, the second head coach the defense thing, but again, this is a new defense for them. There's going to be a lot of overlap, and Ian has written a ton about it this past week about, look, there's going to be some adjustments that Texas fans are going to have to make as far as what they see coverage-wise and pressure-wise. Like, they have to be in the building this much because there are significant changes in bringing in this. It's not like going from the spread to the triple option, but it's still a different way to skin a cat, and you have to learn those techniques.
Yeah, fans are probably going to have to change expectations a little bit, and rather than focusing on individual accolades, focus on the entire team defense. And I think it is going to require a really good team defense. You are going to have guys that stuff the stat sheet, but I'm not sure that we're going to see 15 sacks out of Colin or whatever. What did he have? 12? He would have had 15 if they made a playoff run. He was on fire. What did he have? 12, and he didn't have a sack like the first 5 weeks. Something crazy. I don't know that we're going to see that dominant Colin. We are going to see Colin dominate within his role. There's no doubt about it. I don't know if it's always going to manifest in his individual accolades, but yeah, install is going well. They keep building out. Each week they add new layers to the defense. Muschamp quizzes them along the way to make sure that there's no players left behind. Everybody's on the same page, and eventually they'll be able to take it to the field. But yeah, I think team defense, and that's really one of the things I've been watching for or I will be watching for in spring in this season is how they play the team run. That to me is going to be, I'm not worried in the slightest about them playing the pass, especially with the stealthy linebackers they can put out there and also the different looks, including Colin. Colin's going to drop at times. That's just the nature of that defense. But I am a little bit intrigued about how they accomplish having good team run defense. I'm not too worried about it. I just want to see how it comes together.
Before we keep going, a quick word from our sponsor, that is Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Fast one.
Same-day delivery powered by DoorDash.
One of the things you wrote in your notes this morning, and they're over on Inside Texas. Everybody, if you want to go check those out, just $1, that first link in the description here in this YouTube video. You wrote, Steve Sarkisian has largely been good at cultivating culture throughout his time at Texas. He hasn't been perfect. The addition of Muschamp has been about the strongest course correction he could have made this offseason. Well, that and just getting back to his old way of doing things. And you wrote a little bit how Sark probably did some self-reflection and noticed that the things that were going on last year didn't help his this time last year, weren't conducive to winning for his program last season. And he's trying to improve on that, see those problems that manifested themselves and correct them pretty quick this time here in February.
Yeah, he's actually said so publicly. He met with some donors this past week. I think it was last Saturday, maybe. And he was blunt with them. He said, look, with the influx of all these new players, you have got to jump on culture right out of the gates. And he said he didn't do a good enough job of that last year. And he's definitely pulled a 180. And they, we've been writing about that and talking about it on the channel, back to the culture wars, we call it, where the team's broken up into 10 teams of 8 or 8 teams, whatever it is. The number, it breaks up pretty evenly as the roster can. And it's all built around accountability. And, what he told that group of donors was, with the influx of players, and this has always been Sark's lament of the portals, why he didn't want to use it more aggressively, was that, what does it do to culture? He doesn't get to know all the players in advance. Who's he bringing into his program? Well, he understands that he's got to hammer culture now out of the gates, and that's exactly what they're doing. I love everything I'm hearing about that. I wrote a long list of all the changes Sark has made since December 1st. I think I stopped at 15, probably could have got to 20 if I thought a little bit harder about it. But Sark is completely locked in. And I think, bringing in Muschamp was one of the very first signs of that.
As far as some of the other details, some of those have been seen in how he's addressing strength and conditioning. And last year, everybody laments the offensive line and their inability to maybe get some push. That's something that's happened the past couple of years. But one of the things that you wrote and that feeds into some of the notes we got about strength and conditioning is, Muschamp says you want the biggest, most physical team. Sark wants a really fast team. Yeah. And you said very clearly, those things don't have to be in conflict. In fact, they aren't.
No, the best teams, look at the best Georgia and Alabama teams. Those things were big, fast, physical. They had it all. And, Sark has always preached physicality. He's always wanted a physical team. In theory, and we've seen it manifest before. 2023 Tuscaloosa is the best example when they took over the game in the fourth quarter with the run game. But he hasn't always, I don't think he's always done the right things to have that most physical team. Strength and conditioning issues are probably something, or definitely something that they're looking to fix right now. But none of that is mutually exclusive, especially when you have the athletes and the recruiting classes they've put together. 3-5 number one class. Last year slipped a little bit, but that was by design to allocate resources to the portal. He's got the parts to have a big, fast, physical team, and that's what they're after. I think they're well known for the agility and the explosiveness that they cultivate in strength and conditioning. But now everywhere we turn, we hear more anecdotes of the strength, the goal of increasing strength. It's universal. We're hearing that, no matter who we talk to, everybody's talking about it. And we had a number. They took players to that gathering where Sark met with donors last week. There were players that are talking about, yeah, man, we're lifting a lot heavier, doing a lot more traditional strength training moves. Between Sark's goals and Muschamp's goals, I think they align quite well, especially for the SEC. If you want to win a national championship, you're going to have a lot of things in your favor. Being big, strong, physical, and fast, that's going to go a long way. That sets a very high floor. Now then you layer in the other stuff. Can you be well coached? Well, nobody's going to be Indiana again, but you want to lean in that direction as well. Some of the things we heard about strength and conditioning, using snap counts to on the offensive side of the ball to kind of force discipline. I think we've seen a lot of issues with snap counts in the past. I like that little wrinkle. It's just there's so much more detail to what we're hearing this offseason than years past. And again, it just goes back to, I think that Sark is 100% locked in, focused, and just, I mean, as all in as he can be. And people say, well, that's always his job. Sure. But we know, there was a lot of offseason issues last year that were out of his control. I think everything I'm hearing about right now says this thing is right back on the train tracks of the back-to-back years in the semifinals.
I love the notes you put about some of its explosiveness, its training, and we may overdo the explosiveness word for Torrey Becton because it's like, well, he does that at the expense of other things. That doesn't seem to be the case right now. But the part you put about snap counts, like just thinking about that, if you're an offensive lineman, I don't want to say that's time under tension, but that's time in a position where you're working, your non-thinking muscles, and then at the same time you're working your thinking muscle to be going at the right time. And I like that type of thing, especially as we know, the penalty flags before the snap have been a problem.
The more fatigued you are, the more likely you are to get penalized, to make a mental mistake. And that's, they're trying to test that. And that goes back to that test that they've done every year to sort of measure where the program is going into the season. They use it to gauge, to predict season outcomes. Now, we didn't hear about that test last year, but in years prior, it lined up really dang good with where the team ended up. And a lot of that testing was testing them under tension when they're fatigued. Do they make mental mistakes? Right now, that's actually what we want to hear, right? Because there were far too many pre-snap penalties. And those guys do have a lot on their plate, especially the offensive linemen, where there's just so many different run schemes. You got to match each run scheme to whatever front you're getting. You get a different front every time, or it varies quite a bit. So there's a lot on their plate, but it seems like they're working on testing that aspect of it. Got to get rid of the mental mistakes. We've seen too many mental mistakes, even when they had experienced teams 2 years ago. One
of the other things in the strength and conditioning notes is like they're kind of just doing some old school football program stuff too. Like there's stuff that you work out this to get these muscles right, and you do this to train. And then there's also just the competitive nature of some strength drills, and they've even thrown some of that in there as well.
Well, they're getting ready to do mat drills, and anybody that played high school football knows what the death sentence of mat drills are. Those are the worst, man. They test you in every way, and physically, mentally, your mental strength, your quickness, your leverage, your hand placement, all those things. I mean, I liked it because I would usually get matched up on somebody that was fairly equal, and it's just kind of who wants it more. But it was so tiring and exhausting. But yeah, they'll institute that. Sometimes if it's not broke, don't try to fix it. It's kind of like, hey, there's a reason the back squat is the back squat. It's the fundamental lift of all strength. There's no reason to get away from some of these things. So they're going to institute that. There's 40 something new guys in the program, right? 43 maybe, and 2 of them aren't there. Lawrence Seymour, of course, who we don't have an update on, and Nicholas Robertson. For some reason, it's 2 guards,
and then Ali as well. Right.
Oh yeah, Elijah Ali, the late signing. So 3 guys. So they got 40 new guys on campus right now, and they're running them through the ringer at the same time, making a lot of program shifts internally. Maybe not so. Maybe they won't be so obvious to the naked eye or fans that only pay attention on Saturdays. I think they're going to be surprised. But for us that follow it every day and our viewers that follow it every day, there's just been a lot of change going on, and it seems like almost all of it's for the better.
Before we get out of here, just to go over a couple questions get a couple of these in. We got 2 from our guy Utah Horn, been a consistent presence on the channel. Like this one first. How long do you see Muschamp sticking around? Sign that 3-year deal, getting paid a pretty penny to be Texas head coach for the defense, or officially the defensive coordinator. And do you have any insight on this one?
I mean, I don't have any insight. No, he just signed a 3-year contract. He's working like his life depends on it right now. Is he burning bright and going to burn out quick? I don't think so. I think he's in a good place to hit the coaching grind again with his kids being older. Knowing how he's wired, I would think he wants another bite at the head coaching apple if he gets a shot at a good school. I'm sure he's learned a lot. He's had a lot of time to reflect on what went wrong at Florida and what went wrong at South Carolina, and it wasn't his defense. So he's got the defensive side of it still locked down. I think with a couple simple tweaks, he could be a good head coach. So I think he's in it for another hard run at it. but we'll see. He's coaching right. I mean, he might as well be a head coach somewhere right now. That's the way he's attacking the job. Recruiting, he's recruiting 100%. I mean, it's that might be the biggest shift of all between him and Kwiatkowski. And I love PK, but PK didn't offer a whole lot in recruiting. That's just a complete 180. Muschamp seems fully bought in. The way he's coaching, I would think he would want to be a head coach again. I mean, I don't know why not. I don't think he needed the money. He's probably still got buyout money coming in from South Carolina. He seems all in right now, and I don't think that's going to change.
Just the thing that you mentioned there about recruiting, like PK just didn't go on the road, and that's fine. You can send other guys out, but Will Muschamp's going on the road. Like that speaks to someone who took a step back, like you mentioned, for the family thing, so he could go watch his son play at Vanderbilt, and then now takes a step forward and basically takes a leap forward back into coaching.
Yeah, a lot of people, hey, you could just money whip players, and obviously Texas had the best offer for Tyler Atkinson, and I'm not saying money is the only reason he picked Texas, but it sure didn't hurt. You need as many tiebreakers on your side as possible. And nowadays, everybody has money, and any school can be motivated to take a recruit from you. Corey Wells flipping late last year, Vodney Cleveland flipping late last year. You need tiebreakers on your side because somebody else is going to have more money than you on almost any recruitment, and that tiebreaker is going to be relationship and trust and belief in that coach. And Muschamp is out there instilling that in them, in these players, before anybody can negative recruit them, before anybody can say, hey, this guy hasn't coached in a long time or whatever. If PK is not out there defending his name, other schools are going to make a lot of negative recruiting. So I love what I'm hearing about. I love everything I'm hearing about Muschamp, man.
Last one, it is opening day for the Longhorns. Make it out to the dish. We'll have coverage out there. Another one from Utah Horn. With Jonah Williams' NIL amount, do you think the coaching staff, and I'll put it this way, do you think either coaching staff will ever make him pick a sport?
Do you guys understand leverage? Who's going to tell Jonah? Who's going to tell Jonah, especially if he becomes a good football player, what he can and can't do? I don't know. He'll just say, all right, well, I'll go play baseball or I'll go play football. So it'd be kind of funny, right? It could be like The Bachelor, where Schlossnagel sits down on one side and Sark sits down on the other, and they try to make him pick, and he pulls out the rose. I would love to host that on this channel. We would get crazy views. No, I don't think it's going to come down to that. I think it'll come down to Jonah eventually figuring out what's in his best interest. And it's an interesting calculation. A lot of people say, well, you make more money in baseball. Yeah, but it's also the bust rate in baseball is way more high. Jonah is a can't miss $50 million guy in the NFL if he stays healthy. And, some might disagree with that because they haven't seen it yet, but he's just a $50 million guy in the NFL if he stays healthy. To me, that's a pretty dang good floor. And so, I don't know, but he's a natural baseball player. He's a natural football player. It's just going to come down to what he enjoys more. I do think he feels a little bit more camaraderie with the football players. I think that's what he gravitates to more. But he's a hell of a baseball prospect too. So I don't know. Nobody can leverage Jonah into doing something he doesn't want to just because he's just that good.
I'm just kind of like, I don't think we need to make a decision. Like, let him be really good at two sports. Let him have fun. Like he has unique talents, and if Texas is going to be the place where he can showcase those, and Schloss and Sark have it,
Jonah has it upstairs. Yeah, Jonah has it upstairs. Now, obviously, playing baseball is not gonna speed up his process of becoming good at football and learning safety, which is a mentally intensive position. You need reps there. You've got to be on the same page. You need reps with your teammates, communicating in the back end. You need reps seeing different route variations and picking up on it quick. You need experience, when to trigger downhill, when to stay back. You need all these things. You need time making mistakes out there. And so playing baseball isn't going to help him in that regard, but he's such a natural. He is going to overcome all that, and in time he's going to be a hell of a safety. So it might drive fans a little bit crazy, especially fans that focus much more on football than baseball. But I just want to see it play out because we're not going to see another guy like him for a long time.
Yeah, we'll probably see him penciled in right field, I think, to start the season. As long as he didn't have any injuries, but Shaw said they want to work him up to the right level because he was with the football team until January 1st. So he gave him some time at home, went to Galveston, gave him his own ramp up because he didn't have fall ball, but he's such a unique talent that I mean, the way Schloss raved about him on Wednesday, you can tell everybody knows that number 9 on the football field and on the baseball field is really special.
The number of Roy Hobbs, the natural number 9, probably not a coincidence. Bring up that J one right here. It says, "My concern is the wear and tear." Yeah, it's just two different types of athleticism, and a lot of hamstring issues in baseball. Like they say, you sit around doing nothing, and then you got to sprint a million miles an hour. Strength and conditioning is just different. I once asked Quan Cosby if he felt like he lost some of his explosiveness and speed playing football while playing baseball, and he did. He said he did feel like he did lose some of that. So yeah, there are negatives to it, but man, let the dude live. How many people get to do what he's doing? There's nobody else in college football like him, right? Or in baseball. I mean, you had the even in the last 10 years, how many guys? You had the pitcher at LSU that played
Kyler.
Yeah,
that's
Kyler.
But like no one is as high profile as him.
Yeah,
Jeff
Smarja back in the day, he was high profile.
Mahomes, but Mahomes was like a back end of the bullpen guy.
LSU had that guy. Didn't he play baseball? And
he pitched in the national championship series. I know what you're talking about. I don't remember his name.
But Jonah's higher profile than all those guys. With the exception of maybe Smarja. Smarja was a stud, man. So yeah, I don't know. I want to see it play out, even if it doesn't. I mean, look, you got Derek Williams and Jelani McDonald at safety this year. We can be patient here.
Yeah, and even so, like they found a specialized role for him towards the end of the year last year, and it was simplified. But it was like, all right, this is where you can be an athlete.
Yeah, just stay in the post. We're not going to overload you mentally, and if the ball comes your way, find it.
I think last one. This is a good one from Ryan Nelson. Thoughts on the Ole Miss game now during the season? It comes at a brutal stretch. Of course, it's probably related to Trinidad Chambliss being I forget what it is, temporary injunction, temporary restraining order, whatever the court in Mississippi gave him. Looks like he, at this point here on February 13th, will be able to play next year. Ole Miss comes after, so the month of October is bye week, OU, Florida at home, Ole Miss at home. I mean, it's the SEC. It's a tough schedule,
Yeah, I mean, he's a damn good player. Ole Miss, I think, is going to take a step back coaching wise. They probably didn't get hurt as bad with talent, as I thought they might have. I thought there would be a bigger drop off losing Lane. They did a good job of keeping a lot of that roster together. So it's going to be tough, but they're all going to be tough. It's if Texas is who we think they are, then they're going to be right in that. They'll be fine during that stretch. They might drop one. You never know, but. I feel good about the defense, especially the pass defense going into next year. So not too worried about it outside of the fact that it's a brutal stretch, and you got to be worried to some degree about every game.
I mean, imagine if we were an Ole Miss podcast. They have to do Missouri at Texas, Auburn, Georgia at OU, and I say that just because all these schedules are tough. All these teams are tough. All these teams are physical, and Texas is one of those physical, tough, challenging teams that you have to play. The only thing is Ole Miss has Wofford on Saturday, November 21st. So they still schedule the cupcake every now and then. So should be a lot of fun. I'm excited to see a lot of these teams come to Austin and a lot of teams go to Austin, and we'll have it all covered over on Inside Texas. Join for just $1. It's that first link in our description. It's that QR code there at the top left of the screen. We got all the recruiting coverage you need. We have all the off-season team coverage you need. Of course, we got basketball and baseball. We got everything Longhorns over at Inside Texas. Great time to join, just $1. Come sign up with that QR code or with that first link in our description. Eric, thank you so much. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time on Inside the Program, presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors.